bloody typical. I bloody got it on air mode, or whatever you call it, airplane mode, and someone's phoned and completely broke the video message. What a pain in the bum. So sorry about that. So I'm going to have to load 2 videos up now. What a pain. So yes, so they do come down and obviously help us with intelligence, and that's why we get so many UFO sightings. The last UFO encounter I had was in Scotland. I was on my way to Linda's farm. I was with some people, and we were driving through. Oh my God, the snow was about 6 foot high either side of the road, and we were going along this really desolate, lonely road, trying to find the next town up. It was getting dark. Well, it was dark, and it was quite scary actually, because it's quite a treacherous road. And as we were driving along, there was a van that had gone over into a ditch. And so, you know, the old police officer in me, I always stop for road accidents or people that are hurt. So I got straight out, waded through, and I found it really weird because the van, right, the bonnet was still warm. There was nobody in the van, and there were no tracks, and there was no disturbance in the the snow sand. It's because I live across a beach, isn't it? There was no disturbance in the snow whatsoever, which I thought was really weird. And the keys weren't, I don't think the keys were in the ignition, but it really freaked me out. Because literally there was no trace of the person that was in this van, and the bonnet was still warm, so it like literally happened quite recently. So I was a bit concerned about that. And then suddenly, as we were walking back to the car, because there's nothing we can do, there was this supersonic boom, and the whole valley lit up, and it was like a boof, and it scared the pants off me. I thought, what the hell was that? It was like being just behind this like massive jet rocket or something, and the whole valley lit up. So, we got back into the car. I thought, oh my God, I just want to get out of here. I just want to get, to the next town. Anyway, we got to the next town, and we knocked on the door of this pub to try and get in, and we couldn't understand it because our clocks had said like 10 o'clock in the car and on our watches. And we thought, well, what's it locked up for? It's only 10 o'clock. And anyway, the porter ended up turning up saying, well, it's 11 o'clock at night. We said, well, no, it's not. We want to come in. And he said, well, we're past licensing hours, we're closed for B&B. So I said, no, it's 10 o'clock. All our watches said 10 o'clock, and even the car clock said 10 o'clock. And he said, no, look, it's 11 o'clock. He did let us in the end. But the whole point is that all of our watches and the clock in the car, we'd lost an hour. They'd stayed frozen, which was really freaky. And then when I googled the area, there'd been, I think it was one of the highest places for sightings of UFO phenomena. So I don't know what happened in that hour, but something freaky happened. So that was my last physical, witnessing of something a bit weird. And it was just a phenomenon that all of us, even like the people I was with, were a bit sceptical. It's like, hang on a minute, all our watches say 10 o'clock. This is really freaky. Do you know what I mean? So my physical experiences, I've had many of them. And as I said, star people, as I was mentioning earlier in the soul groups, they tend to have a lot more sightings of UFOs. I've known them to have them follow them down here because they're just checking up on their mate, because obviously part of their incarnation has been a star person, a silver that's been on another planet. So we incarnate into all different types of, species, souls. Some people know that they've been fairies before, some people know that they've been witches before, wizards, all sorts of things. And I know it seems far-fetched, but if you read Earth, what is it? Oh God. Do you know what? I've given the book out 5 times and never got it back. I got to buy it again. It's Doreen Virtue, and it's Earth something. Someone might be able to put a comment on there to let me know what it is. And basically it's about her studying people that have come from different soul groups. Really interesting. I've done many workshops on it as well. It's very, very, very interesting to work out what your soul group is. I'm an Earth Angel, which says everything about me. But give it a go. Have a look at it. I can't remember what it's bloody called. Earth Angels, I think it's called. It might be called Earth Angels. Have a look anyway. It's Doreen Virtue. It's about soul groups. Very interesting read. Anyway, we're digressing a bit. So what I want to bring you back up to 2014, when I had the most magnificent dream ever. As you'll see in my book that I'm going to be putting out, but I basically, me, myself, and I, the Diary of Psychic. It's basically about my journey from losing everything, having my road accident, and bring myself back to here, as I've already mentioned. However, there's one time when I basically had the most amazing dream. It was the most amazing dream ever, and I actually had to write about my dream, and the book Earthwalkers come out of it, and there's going to be a series of 4 books. Problem is, it's fiction at the moment. They've told me to write it up there, and trying to get a fiction book out there is just, I might as well have a meeting with the Pope, because I think it's going to be easier, because, you know, it's a very fickle process. I was asked by many publishers to do books before my accident. Now that I've had it, you know, I'm basically fighting with all the rest of them to try and get a book out there. That's the reality of it. So fiction is just, keep pushing it, but I just keep getting no's, as you do. Time will be right when it's right. Anyway, this dream, basically, I was told, is the real life philosophy of what they think is going on up there. They is the High Court. Basically, the High Court is everybody that has a say in the universal scheme of things. So you have the omnipresence there, which most people will know as God. You then have various figures, like, for instance, you had Gaia, but she's called Maya for some reason with me. She's up there, so she's like Mother Nature. There was Silver's there, obviously the patriarchs of their planets. So there was like a massive group of people that basically decide on what goes on. This may be a bit far-fetched for people, but I don't care, because they've proven it to me, so I'm just going to say what I've been shown. And basically the whole point of this dream was to show me the reality of what's going on with the planet, and show me what's going on and what they think of us and what they think of how we're running the planet. And it ain't good, I'll tell you that. So what happened is that the High Court decided to have a critical meeting, including the aliens, Silvers, and they all sat around and decided what's going to happen with planet Earth. Now, the omnipresence, God, basically is very passionate about the Earth and humankind. He uses this place as a learning ground for his incarnations, for the souls that he creates. So basically, we can go to different planets for our experience, but our main one is Earth. And we come down here and we choose what we want to do on our little holiday to learn experiences as human, and then we go back and then come back again, as I've said about in other videos. Basically, the problem, the crisis is that we're not looking after the planet. The planet is dying, and basically the omnipresence needs to make a decision. The problem we've got is that humankind are abusing the planet. They're abusing each other through war, through the environment, through the way we treat animals, the way we treat, like the logging and the fracking and God knows what else. We're abusing it in all sorts of ways, through tyranny, through power, through greed, through money, and it's all gone a bit wrong. Now, everybody blames God for everything that goes on, but he gave us the power of free will when he created the first form of human beings. Basically, I go along with the Darwin theory to a certain extent, but once we get to the stage where we're almost human, he then creates and brings down, this is what they've shown me, he then brought down the perfect form of the Adam and the Eve, he calls it. And we're then a different species from, obviously, the Neanderthals and all of the development that took place from apes. And the reason why he created the perfect form is, for the first time ever, he put souls in those two people. He wanted to see how we would fare with a soul connection to the source. So everything before that was basically like an instinctive animal, if you like. We just literally multiplied, hunted, ate and survived, and that was it. But the Adam and the Eve were the first humans that were brought down on this planet with a consciousness and with a soul, so that they could then reconnect back to the source. And that's how basically souls evolved on this planet. I think there are other planets where he's done this, where obviously he creates just like an animal an animal, or he creates it along with Gaia and Archangel Ariel. They create these planets with creatures on it, and then they decide whether to bring further intelligence or soul connection to them. Obviously, the Silvers are light years ahead. They are a very, very, very developed species that have got, the ability to connect with the universe and the source. They're way ahead of us. They're amazing. So basically, they created us, and then he decided that we should have free will, but if we kept our divine connection to the source, everything would be fine. But free will has its own way. And as I've told you before, there's two parts of the soul. One part is obviously the top chakras that connect to the divine, so that everything that we connect to on that space, like through meditation or through connecting with nature, we get the voices, we get the guidance. However, the lower part of the soul is about how to deal with ego and how to deal with human behaviour, and how to cope with human experiences. And my guide, Julianis, calls it the lion and the mouse. I've told you about it before. And sometimes the lion, roars so loudly that you just forget and not listen to the mouse at all. And this is a problem. If you've just recently read my column about Mark Bolan, that's just gone out in Spirit and Destiny. Is it Spirit and Destiny, or is it Fate and Fortune? I get it wrong way round, aren't I? Terrible. Fate and Fortune, sorry. As a psychic detective, he was a young soul that had an overwhelming mouse, if you want, rather than the lion, and he knew when he was going to die, how he was going to die, and it was depicted in all of his music, basically. So he was connected very strongly to the source because he was a young soul. Lots of us obviously choose not to connect to that divine, and we don't allow the angel realms, the spirit world, or the universal energies in to help us, and we just live a really bleak life as a human. Others, like me, have the mouse loud, but sometimes have to battle with the lion. So what happens is that the lion got louder, people started getting egos, people started to want more, and so things got a bit wrong. I absolutely 100% do believe that he did flood the planet. The Noah story, because he just thought, I've got to wash the planet of all of this. It's not sin. It wasn't as if, all the Bible rubbish that they write in there. It was going wrong. They were already starting to kill the planet then. He said to me, the omnipresence and all of my guides have said to me, basically, that the only things that we should have eaten down here were the fish in the sea. That's what they were provided for, and the berries and the fruits of the land. Archangel Ariel, also said to me that the planet basically had every elixir and every cure for every ailment that humans should ever have. So it's all here on the planet. Basically, we were supposed to lead this very simplistic, humanistic life, living in peace, just like the Silvers do, and using the planet to our benefit, but also respecting the planet. But as you can see, we've totally gone the wrong way. So what's happening now is the philosophy they brought to me is that Gaia, Mother Nature, has basically had enough of how we're abusing the planet and animals, so she's fighting back. So this universal energy of fighting back against humankind's frequency are the tsunamis, the earthquakes, the flooding, the global warming, everything. And she's just basically, do you know what, I've had enough of them. They don't like the planet, so let's just obliterate the whole lot of them. So you've got her in that corner. The omnipresence is listening to this, saying, yep, fair enough, but I do love the planet. I'm trying to do this in layman's terms, right, because it's a lot deeper than this, and I don't want to bore you with it, but I'm trying to give it to you as layman's terms. The Silvers also saying, look, we've tried to help them with technology, but through greed and through incessantly wanting more and more, they've gone way above and beyond that, and so it's all going wrong with the technology. They're using it to abuse people, using it for tyranny, power, blah blah blah. So they've got the hump with us as well, because they're seeing a planet go very, very wrong when it was actually produced for us to just flourish in, and instead we're killing it and each other. They're not happy with that either. Throughout time, the omnipresence has tried to bring people like me down here, and look at the witch inquisitions. Any spiritual person that's down here to either heal or to educate about the planet are laughed at, are told they're, nutters, or they prey on innocent people. I get the same old crap all the time on, I get trolled all the time saying, oh, you prey on innocent people and you're a fraud and all the rest of it. We're fighting a losing battle with some of these people, but we're actually getting there on a certain extent because people are starting to embrace spirituality a lot more because they don't got nowhere else to go. Religion is becoming too limited. Again, there's a power, there's money, there's control connected around man-made religion down here, so people are looking for a more lighter, more loving connection where there's no rules, if you like, there's no condemnation, and so lots of people are turning to spiritualism, meditation, Buddhism. They're turning to these love type religions where there's no demands. It's just you going with the flow of the universe and looking at, honouring our lifetimes that we keep having down here. So the more that people get educated with what I'm talking about, then the love aspect of it will slowly start to spread. But I don't know if we're going to have enough time to do that, to be honest with you. Because Gaia just wants to completely smash to pieces the world and start again. The option was to pick light beings or fifth dimensional spiritual beings like me and people around the planet would be brought up. Their souls would be brought up before this obliteration, and they were basically taken to a Silvers planet because their energy was high enough to resonate in the frequency of the Silvers and live on that planet. So that was what he was going to do. He was going to take us all up, take us to a different planet where we could quite happily merge with the Silvers, and then this planet could just go and blow up or whatever it was going to do. So the options were Gaia was going to destroy it through massive earthquakes, tsunamis, extreme weather, which is already happening. Two, they were just going to allow free will to continue and obviously nuclear war. Or three, we could carry on fighting. Basically, the Omnipresent decided that he wanted to fight. He wants to fight to keep this planet going. So what he decided to do in the 70s, he decided to start creating what are called indigo children. I'm one of those. Most of my family are as well. Indigo children are children that have got a direct source to the angel realms, to the omnipresence, to the spirit world, that can educate and help people understand and know what's going on in this planet and warn them. And so the influx of indigo children in this, the last couple of generations has been phenomenal since the millennium children. They're even more advanced. But as we do as humans, we give them a label, ADHD, autism, and God knows what. But there are still some that are not too far on the spectrum that can still instill that knowledge, that spiritual understanding and that love, and that's what he's trying to do at the moment. He's also, as they've told me, been going to highly esteemed people, such as Dr. Alexander, can't remember his name, brain fog, who was a neurosurgeon. I have mentioned him before in videos, who basically had a completely killer virus attack his brain. He should have been dead. He was brain dead, but then he came back miraculously without anything wrong with him, but he'd been to heaven, and he knew that he couldn't have gone to heaven because he was brain dead, so he couldn't create dreams or any hallucination. So he now goes around talking about the spirit realm and angel realms. There's many people that are highly esteemed, doctors, surgeons, politicians, that have been given a flash of heaven or been given a near-death experience so that they can start telling people this is real, so that people will start listening to them and thinking, hang on a minute, they're not some nutter that sits in Glastonbury or, has got a bloody veil over the head with a crystal ball. These are people that know what they're talking about, so we should listen to them. So starting to infiltrate through people that are of, intelligence, of status, so that they can start saying about the spirit world and the angel realms. We need to start educating people and making people realise that we haven't got long for this planet if we don't sort it out. The love, respect for the planet, animals, and everybody else has got to be done. And that's what's happening at the moment. I would suspect that there'll be a time where, again, the High Court will meet and they will decide, again, whether it's working or not. So it's all down to us, really, as to whether we listen and stop abusing everything that we've been provided, or we get on with it and let it just all burn to pieces. That's how it is. And this is I've written this book out of this dream. It was the most amazing connection I ever had. And it's a fantastic book. It actually talks of, mine's changed a bit though. The fictional part of it is that there's three children that need to be, four children that need to be taken up to heaven to be given missions on how to let humankind know that they're in dire danger. So it's a bit different. It's a bit of a more fantasy twist on it. But the actual philosophy of what they're telling me rings true. And do you know what's really weird is I had that dream in 2014, and one of the, for instances, they gave me of how blatant terrorism is coming is and it's even in my book. So I hope people don't think I've copied it because I wrote it like 4 years ago. But someone walked into an arena, a suicide bomber, and it just absolutely matched Manchester, and it freaked me out. It absolutely freaked me out when I started watching the news straight after it happened in Manchester, because it was almost like they're giving me prophecy. They're showing me that we know what we're talking about, and they gave me this scenario about this, suicide bomber in this arena with everybody there, but mine was Wembley. It's the only difference. And I've been writing it in my, fictional story just to add, it's basically, they called it spiritual education, subliminal spiritual education through fiction. That's what they've basically told me it's about. So this story is just amazing. But the fact that one of the things they told me to write actually did happen 3 years later is a bit scary, to be honest with you. So it's almost like a New Age Bible, what they're telling me to write, because it's a way forward on how to stop all this. Anyway, I hope you understand that the whole point of this is to say, without a doubt, how stupid would we be to think we're the only planet here and the only intelligence here? There are aliens. I hate that word because that brings in all sorts of bloody, tall, blinky-eyed people. Mind you, some of them do create that image. They do create that image. Very, very slender, big eyes, the silvers. That's the image they create. But normally they're just like liquid or like just a soul or a spirit. It's really hard to explain. But I've seen them. I've connected with them. I know people that have been taken up back home to their planet to give data and information. I know that the hybrids that walk around now have got an affinity to other planets, and that now and then they're taken back and all the data is downloaded on what they've learned, down here and how we're getting on. But it's not so much spying, it's about them having a vested interest in seeing how we develop, because they were there once, if that makes sense. They're light years ahead of us in respect of technology and communication, and they've got it right. They live on a planet which is absolutely luscious, abundant and beautiful. The fact that they haven't got physical bodies now, I don't know what happened there, but what I do know is they started off like us. But they obviously have learned to communicate through ethereal ways, and they've got the most beautiful, abundant planet. It's full of waterfalls. It's just like, do you know, if you like watch Lord of the Rings and you go to the land where all the elves live, it's like that. Some parts of it are like that. It's absolutely stunning. And they've got it right. We haven't. We have not got it right at all. And we've got the time bomb is ticking for this planet. I'm telling you that now. And I don't even watch the news anymore, because all you see on the news is hate and anger and tyranny and loss and devastation and killing. It's just, I can't watch it anymore. And people say to me, well, do you see the news? No, I've got no clue what's going on in the world unless it's huge, and it comes on, I don't know, Twitter or something. But apart from that, I really don't want to connect with it, because I don't like what humankind's doing to the planet. So that's my philosophy on aliens. There are definitely other planetary places out there that have got intelligence a lot higher and a lot more deeper than we will ever have. They're closer to the source, to the omnipresence, and they definitely do look out for us, but they like having a nose as well. So if any of you have had any experiences of aliens or other life, or whatever you want to call them, let me know. I'd be really interested to hear what your experiences have been. With that, I'm going to love you and leave you, because I think I might saunter off to the beach if I can walk that far and take the babies down for a little swim. Again, if there's anybody who'd be interested in these videos, please pass them on for me. And I really hope you've enjoyed this. I'm getting a bit tired as well, so I think I'm going to have a cup of tea and then go down and sit on the beach. So take care. Thank you, darling, for talking to me from, I hope I'm saying your name right, Kalpana. It's a lovely name. Yeah, it's lovely to talk to someone down under. I hope you've enjoyed this one. And I look forward to speaking to you all soon. So enjoy the sunshine, stay positive, stay happy, keep the faith. And until next time, take care. Bye now.